Oh man, it's a Mario! The movie. I haven't talked much about this film, but as a big lifelong video game guy, it's definitely been on my mind. And when they announced Illumination was going to make a Super Mario Bros. Movie, I didn't know what to expect. When they announced that the titular role of Mario would be voiced by Chris Pratt, I didn't say anything. Now, Illumination and Nintendo have finally released a trailer for the film, and you know, it looks alright! When this film was announced, there was a lot of concern that it would lean hard into the aesthetic that the studio established with films like Despicable Me, Minions, The Secret Life of Pets, Sing, and more. And while there are definitely elements of the studio style and pacing and comedy present in the Super Mario teaser trailer, it still leaves me with the first impression that the Super Mario movie will take a tentative step backwards from that house style to be sort of safe. That's not to say that Illumination's films aren't safe, so to speak. The studio's animated features are all family-friendly movies that tend to lean on a familiar style of storytelling and a trademark brand of all ages appropriate humor. And while the Super Mario Bros. Movie probably won't stray far from those elements, it's also clearly trying to look and feel like the games that inspired it. And that seems like a no-brainer. But when you look at the other video game film adaptations we've gotten recently, you'll find that it's also not really the norm. Think about movies like Sonic the Hedgehog and Detective Pikachu. Those films have elements all familiar to the games that inspired them, but take comparatively big creative risks by taking those characters and themes out of their original context and putting them in realistic human worlds. And even though Detective Pikachu was technically based on a Detective Pikachu spin-off game, this still recasts those adaptations as something distinctively different than their original source material. Stories that use video game elements to tell a narrative, but don't really live in the familiar world that fans of those games already know. In a way, that's another way of playing it safe. Those films transpose game elements to a common media formula of having a cartoon in the real world. And that carries a risk of making the final product unfamiliar to the brand that it's using to draw viewers and fans of the games in. The Super Mario movie, on the other hand, is doing the exact opposite. Despite celebrity voices and probably a healthy helping of Illumination style of humor, this film seems to be playing it very close to Nintendo's vision of Super Mario, taking most of its style direction from the art scene of the games and keeping character design more or less in line with what fans expect. In short, Illumination is playing it safe with the Mario brand by being more creatively restrictive and ensuring that what they put on screen is something that you're already familiar with, not a world they invented to suit a new story. But that doesn't mean it won't be creative. In a lot of ways, adhering to a story bible that matches a game world with decades of history is more challenging than removing those characters and putting them in a new setting that you have full creative control over. It probably means that the Mario movie was made in closer collaboration with Nintendo than a lot of other video game films. And that's good and bad. Because while it means, celebrity voices aside, we'll probably get something very comfortable and familiar, it also runs the risk that the final film could be kind of mediocre. And that's because it's probably somewhat designed to be. The Super Mario Bros. Movie undoubtedly wants to become a classic, and one way to manufacture a classic is to create something that is, for lack of better phrasing, bland but memorable. In all probability, the Super Mario Bros. Movie will be a fun romp that won't take any big risks. You'll watch it, you'll enjoy it, but it won't blow your mind or become your favorite. But it also won't bother you or offend you. It'll be memorable, but not for any negative reasons. At the same time, it probably won't be memorable for being phenomenal either. It'll just be pretty good by design. Bland, maybe, but memorable. Maybe a little warm and nostalgic. And I think you can see this in the voice performance. The reaction to Chris Pratt taking on the role of Mario was pretty strong initially. And just the same, a lot of folks have been reacting to this teaser trailer saying the voice is just Chris Pratt doing Mario. But if you listen carefully, it's not quite that.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come!
Pratt affects a slight sort of Italian accent, pronouncing a few words with just a hint of looseness from what little we hear in this trailer. It's not really an Italian accent, but if you're listening for something more, you can hear it. At the same time, it's not enough of any kind of accent to truly offend anyone or be a cultural stereotype. It's plain it's safe, but it has just enough of an accent, or the hint of an accent, to satisfy people who are listening for one. Safe, but unique enough to be memorable. If I were to guess, I'd say that Pratt's performance will be pretty representative of the film's approach to protecting the Super Mario Bros. Brand. It has enough flair to be a little unique, but it's not going out of its way to break the mold or do something new. This isn't to say that the movie doesn't have creative opportunities, however. These characters have never had a big opportunity to develop or show off their personalities to this extent. It'll be fun to see how the film expands the limited voice work and pantomime from the games into fully fledged characters. Jack Black as Bowser is particularly interesting to me, and that's a character who, apart from some work done in text boxes, is usually only voiced with roars and evil laughs. And from the clips we saw, Jack Black's take on the role is more confident and sinister than silly and over the top. And that could be really fun, and that could work.
Do you yield? I do not.
I don't want to talk too much about the story right now, but it looks pretty straightforward. Mario arrives in the Mushroom Kingdom from another world and has to help save the day. Kind of like the opening sequence from that old 1990s Super Mario Bros. Super Show cartoon. The Super Mario Bros. Movie doesn't want to be your favorite movie. It just wants you to like it and think of it fondly. It's not trying to take risks, it's simply seeking to be comfortable, familiar, fun. And isn't that enough? We'll find out. The film will launch in April 2023, and despite taking the exact opposite approach to adaptation as the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, I think it'll probably wind up with the same results. A surprisingly fun afternoon in the theater, even if it's not incredibly special. That's it for my super quick thoughts on the Super Mario Bros. Teaser. Thanks for popping back in. I know I don't do a lot of videos anymore, but I always appreciate seeing people come back when I do to say hi. Until next time, thanks for being fun, and take it easy, Internet.